Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nipples every day to get some of that dirty YouTube money so I can afford to provide you folks hands-on, in-person technology education that empowers you to do what you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. We have a class coming up on AI and web scraping next week. We have a class on extending AI capabilities with REST APIs in a couple of weeks. We have more classes coming down the pike every few weeks. If you're interested, take a look at the schedule at silicondojo.com. Do remember, free D&D is not actually free. That's why I shake my brain nips every day. If you want to throw some money into the donor box link down below, that would be ever so lovely. I will say I am very excited for this particular channel. We have hit the highest number of views we've gotten for the channel in a 1 month period since 2016. That's right, all those people out there saying, Eli, nobody wants your opinion. What they really want is tech education. They can go and do something very inappropriate to themselves right now, because that's just not the reality, right? Line go up. Eli shakes brain nips. Line goes up. I am very curious to see how far this can go. Maybe, I might actually be able to compete with Louis Rossmann again. Wouldn't that be funny? That might be my new goal. I think my new goal is what if I could have a live stream for when I surpass Louis Rossmann in subscribers again. Remember that? Remember back in Louis's passive-aggressive days when he just fucked with me for God knows what reason? Literally, as his channel was getting up to the point where he was going to pass me in subscribers, the fucker did a live stream to say, look, can we get above Eli the computer guy? I'm like, dude, what's going on here? What's going on? This is how you say thank you? Anyways, maybe in a little while we can repay Louis the favor. Who the hell knows? I have no idea where this ride is gonna go. I had no fucking clue YouTube might actually pay me a professional salary again. It's a surprise. It's a surprise to all of us. So anyways, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about a Chinaman being bad. The Western world is full of righteous white knights trying to defend everybody else from those wascally Chinamen that are just trying to spend the money that they have in their pocket because they worked really hard and they earned it. How dare you, Chinaman? Chinaman, you trying to spend my money that's in your pocket? What are you talking about? You come here, you work all day, I give you money because you worked all day, and then you're trying to go out and spend that money somewhere else. Well, I have problems with you spending my money that way, Chinaman. Anyways, so I've been talking about the whole Nexperia, our favorite telenovela in the technology world. Nexperia for a while. It's just a crap. Oh my God, so much stuff has gone by. Oh my God, like trying to explain it to you folks now is like when my wife like walks in the room and you're watching like Battlestar Galactica, like, you know, the middle of season 3, and she's like, well, can you catch me up on the story? And you're like, robots killed humans trying to survive. I don't... There's a lot of stuff going on in this story. Anyway, so Nexperia, right? At the end of October, basically, or is it September? Anyways, beginning of October, somewhere like that. Basically, the Netherlands seized Nexperia's headquarters. Nexperia has their headquarters in the Netherlands, plus they have wafer manufacturing around Europe and research in Europe. But their packaging is actually done in China. When the Netherlands seized Nexperia's headquarters, China basically did not allow the Nexperia's packaging division in China to be able to ship any of the packaged chips out to the rest of the world. These are very low-grade, old-school chips, but they're used in auto manufacturing. So basically, every auto manufacturer in the world was screwed, right? The first factory to actually shut down was a Honda factory in Mexico, of all places. That's how global the demand for these particular chips are, and it's been a whole fucking disaster. Apparently, what we are informed now is that China is allowing the chips to be shipped. They are releasing, they're relaxing their export controls and licensing, and so now these chips can be sent around the world. And so we are where we are. And so the whole interesting thing with this is, has anybody learned a lesson? Has anybody learned a lesson? No. The answer is no. It's 2025. No, why would anybody learn a lesson from this? So this is coming from The Guardian. This is coming from The Guardian, and I find this to be interesting. So look at this jackass. Look at this fucking jack. Hey, dear European. Yeah, tell me about how amazing your fucking education is, you worthless piece of shit. You know, that's the thing. When you talk to Europeans, again, as an American, they will not shut the fuck up about how fucking smart they are and how superior their education system is and how superior they are. So what the fuck happened to you? Did you start doing math? Were you really smart like a year ago and you started eating paint chips and smoking meth? Because this fucking idiot is literally saying he'd do it the fuck again. He'd do all this shit again. Fucking European piece of shit can't fucking learn a goddamn lesson, right? An old castrated fucking poodle apparently can't learn goddamn new tricks. So anyways, this little motherfucker here, yeah, he is willing to fuck the world again just because he doesn't grasp anything. Anyways, a little pissed, a little fucking irritated here. Quote, I'd do it all again. Oh, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. Says Dutch minister at heart of car chip standoff with China. Exclusive. Vincent Caramans, known from here as Dumbass McFuckery Fuck, says row with Beijing that threatened global car production, quote, is a wake-up call to West. Yes. If you allow fucking meth heads that eat lead chips into important government fucking positions, they will try to destroy the global economy because that windmill is attacking us. Anyway, what the fuck? You know, 2026 isn't going to be any better. You do know 2026 is going to be worse than this, right? Just so we're all clear. Foreshadowing. A bitter battle over the future of a Chinese-owned chipmaker in the Netherlands that threatened to cripple the global car industry. Again, this isn't like, oh, it fucked BMW or fucked Mercedes or even it fucked Ford. It's not like it was screwing one company. Global car industry is a, quote, wake-up call to Europe and the West, the minister at the heart of the row has warned. Yes, it is a fucking wake-up call to fucking throw you jackasses in prison so you can learn a couple of fucking lessons for a little while and actually get people that are effective in their jobs to be doing the work of fucking politicians. It is a fucking wake-up call about how fucking stupid our politicians actually are and how it's a goddamn joke whenever Europeans talk about their superior fucking education system. I'd like to question that. The 6-week standoff between the EU and Beijing over Nexperia and its vital supplies of automotive semiconductors has served up a sobering lesson to world leaders over the dependency on China, says Vincent Caramans. Really? Is that the lesson? Is that the lesson we learned? The Dutch economy minister says he has no regrets about the tussle and would not change his actions even with the benefit of hindsight. Are you out of your fucking mind? Quote, there's a lot of interest in exactly what happened, he said. It's like an economic thriller. It would be like if you took a fucking ball-peen hammer, you went up and you bashed your grandmother's skull in, and then you sat there going, well, there's a lot of interest in what happened here. Yeah. Detailing for the first time how the trade war unfolded, he recalls high-level exchanges with his German counterpart, the car industry, and the U.S., as well as conversations with critical intelligence that he claimed showed Nexperia was moving parts of its physical operation in Hamburg to China. So when you're having all of these discussions, did you actually figure out how their fucking supply chain worked? At any point in time, did you understand the technical details of how Nexperia's supply chain actually functioned? At any time? No. That's hard. You're asking a politician to understand the technical details of the policies that they're going to implement? Karaman says it had nothing to do with a U.S. move on 29th of September to put Nexperia on a list of companies facing import controls. Quote, we were absolutely not pushed or pressured or whatever by the Americans to take action on this, he says. So, I mean, that's your out. Come on, dear. Hey, Netherlands. As an American, blame us. Everybody else does. See, that's your out. That is your out there. Right? We were given exuberant warnings by the American administration. From how they explained things, I thought they were more significant than it appears that they actually were. We jumped the gun on implementing these policies. Right? This is how you can blame the fuck out of us. Look, we got Trump in office. You can blame us for a lot of shit. Right? You can blame us so you get outside of the blame, and then you can say, in the future, we are going to come up with better systems before we do this type of thing. Right? That's the kind of fucking thing that you could do. But no, you're fucking European. You still think you fuckers are superior now, don't you? Quote, what we heard from the Americans was that they were going into a government shutdown, and they wanted to ensure Nexperia was on the list. Quote, now for the short term, there's a solution, and we're very grateful for the steps that the Chinese authorities have taken on this. However, Karaman stresses, quote, if I had been in the same position with the knowledge I know now, I would have done the same thing again. Really? Really? You would have done this whole thing exactly the same. Exactly the same again. Okay. Dear Europeans, this is why nobody gives a fuck about you jackasses anymore. You can pat yourselves on the back on how fucking brilliant and amazing and wonderful you all are. I think you're fucking bricks. The Dutch chipmaker, once part of the Philips Electronics Group, was bought by China's Wingtech in 2018. So it was 2018 when Wingtech bought it. Concerns about its future ability to export to the U.S. emerged in 2023 when the U.S. notified the Dutch that they were considering putting Wingtech on an affiliate list of companies that could pose a threat to national security. And we see this again and again and again. National security could pose a threat to national security. What does that actually mean? Who the fuck knows? Quote, these restrictions were immense, so it was in our best interest to work with the American and Chinese governments and the Nexperia Chinese shareholder to work out a solution. Wow. You did a wonderful job there. The Dutch then entered a dialogue with Zhang Zhuhing, the founder of Wingtech and the chief executive of Nexperia in the Netherlands, to ensure the company's independence. Demands included the establishment of an independent supervisory board and a requirement that Zhang no longer act as both CEO and head of human resources. Quote, I spoke to Mr. Zhang about this in the ministry last summer, says Karaman. Quote, it was one of the first meetings I had as Minister for Economic Affairs. He was telling me they were very much on board. We had a list of measures to be taken, and then we would engage with the Americans and say, this is a Dutch company. But in September, things took a dramatic turn. Quote, I had people coming to my office, quote, Minister, we need to talk to you. And they told me that what Zhang was doing, they said he was moving away intellectual property, and they were firing people, and they were looking to relocate production from Hamburg to China. Asked who these people were, he says, I can't tell you who they were, but we have physical evidence that this relocation was happening. Hey, can we know who told you this? No. Somebody He has imaginary Chinaman friend too. Yeah, the Chinaman out there thought it was just me. They thought it was just Eli, the computer guy, is the crazy guy. No, no, no. All white people actually have their own imaginary Chinaman friend that agrees with them all the time. So I can say things like Chinaman, and Mr. Lee agrees with me. Mr. Lee says, yes, Eli, Chinaman is incredibly appropriate in these situations. So ergo, I don't have to worry about what the fuck you people say, because my imaginary Chinaman says the same Chinaman is A-okay. So anyways, as to who these people were, I can't tell you. Really? You are making fucking policy decisions that are going to fuck the entire world. But you can't say who gave you the information. But you do all this exactly the same again. He argues that if Wingtech had moved its semiconductor wafer production to China, then, quote, this interdependence that Europe had with China would have changed to a full dependency. That would have been very dangerous for Europe. Oh, would that have been dangerous for Europe? Yes. Wouldn't it have been horrible if Europe had lost its supplies to vital resources? Anyways, after the situation with the Chinese escalated in the aftermath of the Nexperia intervention, Kermans spoke to Germany's economic minister, Katharina Reich. Quote, she supported our action. She was very concerned about what this meant, obviously, for the car industry. Leaders in the EU, US, China, France, and elsewhere around the world were also kept informed. Quote, we weren't intending to go public on this. We wanted to solve this swiftly and silently. So you just wanted a kneecap? You just want to kneecap a Chinese company swiftly and silently? I mean, that seems about on point. Quote, we are in direct touch with the German car industry and with other car manufacturers and clients of Nexperia. They will let us know when they receive the chips. And once the supply resumes, and we are confident it will continue, then we'll take the appropriate steps that are needed by the Dutch government to resolve this issue. Kermans hopes this, quote, will serve as a wake-up call over the dangers of depending on one country for essential tech or raw materials. Yeah. Don't fucking trust the Netherlands. So what was the lesson? What was the lesson that both Chinaman and Whitey Man in the United States can learn from this? Don't fucking trust the Netherlands. Okay, fair enough. We will never trust the Netherlands again. We will never trust the Netherlands again. Because after all of this has happened, the motherfucker is still sitting there saying, I would do it really? You do it exactly the same again? Love of crikey. Love of crikey. So yes, this is the telenovela of the Ballad of Nexperia. And I don't know what this means for the future. I don't know what this means. Again, one of the things we've seen on the Trump administration and the idiocy of what is currently going on is that we're not really getting treaties, right? So when you look at real trade deals and when you look at real treaties, right, these are supposed to be binding, and they're supposed to be binding for a significant amount of time. 5 years, 10 years, forever, that type of thing. And the reason for that is so people know what the hell is going on, right? We all have to place bets, whether it's you deciding to buy a house or a car, or whether it's a business trying to do they rent out 400,000 square feet of data center or whatever else, right? Basically, the idea is it's to give stability. We have come up with this agreement. There may be problems and issues that got to work around at the edges, but this is the fundamental agreement we have, and we will have this for a significant period of time. The issue that we've seen, again, under the Trump administration is we're not really getting trade deals, right? He says he negotiates, he gets some kind of something out of somebody, he agrees to something, he wakes up a week later and changes the entire damn game, right? We've just seen this time and time and time again. And so the problem here with the Netherlands and Europe and this whole thing going on with Nexperia is if this jackass, right, if Kermans is so fucking senilely psychotic that he honestly believes, right, everything was done good, I would do it exactly the same again, then the question has to be asked, who will be the target for the again, right? We've talked about this with these global supply chains, right? There's a lot of folks in China that have become very rich off of what's been going on. They want to invest back in the rest of the world. They want an ROI. They're investors just like everybody else. They want an ROI. They go out and invest in other countries' companies in the United States, in European countries, that type of deal, right? So what the Netherlands is saying, and by default, what Europe is saying, is that what they did with Nexperia is what they think is kosher. They think this is the right way about going through with this kind of horse crap. So the question then has to be put on the table is who is the next target that they're going to go after with this asinine game plan. And the problem is if you keep doing this, everything fucking fractures. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on, right? The entire argument on why you should support the Western world, why you should not trust China is the whole idea of the rule of law. We have the rule of law. We have strong systems in place. When you come to our countries, you abide by the law, you abide by the systems, and you can just do business. When you go to China, nobody knows what's going to happen because on a political whim, they can fuck with you, right? That is the fundamental argument that we've had for the past couple of decades. And what we're seeing, whether it's in the United States or whether it's in Europe, is that it's complete and utter horseshit, right? Yes, do we have laws? Yeah. But again, they'll do lawfare, right? The fact that lawfare is now a word shows the fracturing of our societies. The thought of literally cherry picking laws for exceedingly specific targets in order to get an outcome that you're looking for, that is not the way this should work. With any law, with any regulation, they are going to always be overbroad. There is always going to be the possibility of overreach, right? It is the discretion of the people that are implementing those laws and regulations that keep the system basically stable. And so what we're seeing, whether it's in the United States or whether it's now in Europe, right, is again that they are willing to commit lawfare against China. And at that point, like we've seen with Nexperia, it doesn't simply affect China, right? It's not simply like, okay, we're going to kneecap China and walk the fuck away, right? Like what we've seen, the absolute failure of the fucking Netherlands has literally jeopardized the entire global auto industry in a period of time where all of our economies are in shaky footing anyway. So this fucker should get tarred and feathered. Metaphorically, motherfucker should get tarred and feathered. Every fucking European should know that fucking face by heart, and whenever they see this piece of shit in public, they should just fucking lambast him and tell him to put down the goddamn meth pipe. But anyways, that's the interesting thing about this Nexperia story. It just gets stupider and stupider. A bit like 2025. A bit like 2025. Like you hear it, you're like, well, that's dumb. That's dumb. I'll do a story on this. I'll get some clickbait out of this. And then I'll move the fuck on. And then it's just like day after day, you're like, what the hell? And look at them. Look at him. He's proud. He's proud. Right? He feels like he's fucking righteous. Anyways, I should probably stop. Don't want the Europeans to cry too goddamn much. Be a bunch of fucking puddles over there. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Vincent Caramons literally stating to the world, he'd do it all over again, exactly the same way. He'd do it again exactly the same way. What do you think about the fact, if he's coming out and saying he'd do this again exactly the same way, what do you think about that basically means he's going to do it the same way for the next target? And what do you think about this? Again, all this whole anti-China thing, but at the end of the day, in a globalized economy, in a globalized supply chain, you attack China, you end up screwing everybody else. And dear Europeans, what the fuck is going on? What? I actually remember. That's a weird thing. That's a weird thing about being almost 50. Like, I remember the era when we used to look up to you bastards. Be like, wow, Europeans. Europeans are just so European. Holy shit, what the fuck happened to you people? As I've said before, that was the thing. That's why I get so mad at Europe. Is right, EU back in around 2000 time frame. I was like, yay! Right? The EU is going to be a strong counterweight to America. Right? Russia had fallen. China isn't where it is today. You know, the United States truly needs a counter. We truly need a counterweight. We need somebody to compete with. And that was the thing. Like, if Europe is strong and is forceful, they would be a good counterbalance, right? Competing against a culture that in many ways is very similar to ours. It's almost like the Overton window of competition, right? We can compete with you, but you're pretty close to us, so we're really like competing about some pretty stupid things in there. That would have been so nice. That would have been so nice. But, you know, it's Europe. It's Europe. Fucking Europe. Anyways, so what do you think about all this? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts down below? If you like these videos, you're a sick fuck. But I like you. Give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, you probably have a couple of brain cells that work properly. Give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and put a strong American comment down there in that comment section. Do remember what I actually care about is Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com, free to end user hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do in life. We have a class coming up on AI and web scraping next week. We have a class coming up on extending AI capabilities with REST APIs, and a couple weeks after that, we have more classes coming down the pike. If you're interested, go to silicondojo.com to RSVP. Do remember, free to end user is not actually free. That's why I shake my brain nips every day. If you want to help support the project, there's a donor box link down below. And with that, see y'all later.